Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. I'm your host, Kyle King, 7-time published author, CEO, and founder of the Writer's Game. And I have somebody here today that's going to be really talking to you about living longer through inspired leadership. What does that mean? What does it mean to live longer? But what does it also mean to be an inspired leader? And if you are somebody who's leading people, this person, this woman, is going to share her testimony, her methodologies, her techniques that have helped her understand how to transform people's lives in all areas, all industries, and around the world. Karen, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I am absolutely fantastic. We were talking offline, having a lot of fun. So we're going to have fun on this episode as well. But I want to know, how would you define yourself without using any professional titles and any professional experience?
I would define myself as love.
Mm.
I am here to give love and share love with the world. And, it's with my voice that I want to help give people time as well.
What does it mean to give people time?
So I've worked in a couple different industries, and I honestly never thought that I would be an entrepreneur, but I worked in the corporate world, and then I worked in physical therapy, and then I came back to the corporate world, and I saw that we're not well, and it's costing us time. It's when we don't feel good, we're not really living. And, our lack of wellness takes up all this space in our brain and in our mind, and it takes away from the present. But our wellness literally also impacts the length of our life, how much time we actually have with our families and how much time we have to do the things that we love. So that's really what we want to enhance for individuals is time.
In your opinion, why are we, just people in general, why do we have such of a negative relationship with time? Because we're taught to manage time and have schedules and have goals and have visions and all of these different things. But I believe that so many of us procrastinate, we waste time, we don't value it in the way that we're taught to value it. Why do you think that is?
I think that some of that, to some degree probably goes all the way back to, the way that we're raised and the given human nature to want to help people and want to please people. We are a huge people-pleasing society. And so it's when we're busy trying to do for others that we kind of forget to just be.
Walk me through an experience in your life where you were so busy doing for other people, whether it's professionally or personally, that you weren't able to just be. What happened, and what did it take for you to recognize that you needed to make a change?
Kyle, I really think that it's one of those things where it's so ingrained in us. It's kind of like you have to do a check every day to kind of assess what's happening as a business owner. It is really easy to get swept up in work and in life and in parenting, because I'm a mom too. And so when I feel like things are starting to, kind of the wheels are starting to come off the bus, that is the best time to hit what I call a hard reset and just stop and get back to the things that are inherently me, which for a number of years, even I didn't know what they were because I was so lost in people pleasing and mothering that I didn't even know who I was anymore. So when I took some time to really figure out who I was, it was, all right, well, I love to get back into the woods. I love to get near the ocean and near the water in any way. And I love to play and exercise. And when I do these things, when I tune into myself and my needs, then I actually can better serve and better manage the people around me and my time as a whole. So I become much more productive and much more valuable to the people in my life, instead of just, looking kind of disorganized or stuff like that. So
Definitely. We were having a conversation last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, and you made a statement that really shifted my whole perspective just about life in general. And I thank you for that in advance. You said to live big, live now, you just don't know. And you shared a story with me about where this perspective came from. Do you mind sharing that story, talking about that perspective and why it's important for other people to embody that inside of them?
So growing up, my mother was an ER nurse. Both my parents were nurses. So every single day, my mom told us, and some people think that it's kind of morbid, but I think that it's really valuable, that we just don't know how much time we have. So it's our job to live on purpose and with purpose, so that we can really maximize whatever time we have here as a whole. And then, as I have gotten more and more into my professional, into my role and interacting with the people around me, it's very much the same. It is, how can we really maximize this time? How can we serve and be true to our mission and where we're going in life and the things that we want to do? And really assessing success every single day and what that looks like, because we're all going to run out of time. We spend time every single second and there are no refunds. So it's paramount that we make the most of every minute and day that we have here, because it is all a gift.
I love that statement every time you say it. Like, there's no refunds on the time. Like, there's no refunds to life at all. What is an experience in your life, both professionally or personally, where you've wanted to refund that moment or that experience, but it taught you more about who you are as a woman in general?
Gosh, I was thinking about this actually over the weekend, and I was applying for a grant, and it was, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered along the way? And there have been so many, and there have been so many failures. But it's, when you fail, fall forward. And so it's like each time that I try, and as a first generation entrepreneur, a lot of this is learning on the go and trying. But where I feel well and just extraordinarily blessed is I know what my job is. I know what my purpose is. And because I have my compass set on truly creating a healthier tomorrow, that allows me to get back up, dust myself off, and keep going when I step in mud, when I fall, when I fail, and just say, all right, we're just going to try again, because I can't stop, and I won't until I'm going to do this every day as long as I'm here.
Karen, you're a fighter. You're a warrior. You're a survivor. And your experiences have taught you that. And I think for somebody listening right now that believes that they're fighting and they're surviving and they're battling this life battle that so many of us have to go through, what were some affirmations or pieces of encouragement that you wish you would have heard along this journey?
Well, one of the most meaningful conversations I've had in the last few years was when I came back into the corporate world. Again, I had been people pleasing my whole life. And my then boss said to me, "You got the stuff." And, that when I work with leaders and when I talk with leaders about why it is paramount that we take care of ourselves, it is because as leaders, we are creating the ripple effect. When we take care of ourselves and we help others see the potential inside of themselves, then that is a gift. And I wish that I had known myself and loved myself years ago, because, every step of the journey, invariably, it brought me here and it is what it is. But gosh, I probably could have saved some time if I had known that sooner. And then the other thing was when I was about 3 months into entrepreneurship, it was hard. It was scary. I mean, I started my business with nothing and no anything. And I was at this event and this woman said to me, oh, you're a new entrepreneur, so you must be in the valley of the shadow of death. You think you're not sure if you're even going to make it. And she said, but you will. Just keep going. And that to me, it's like every time that I get scared, I remember that. And, whatever people believe, you believe what you believe, but for me, leaning into my faith and the times when I say, I am put here for this reason, it's like there's something out there that's much stronger than me that helps me to get through. So
one of the conversations that I was having the other day was based upon something that I heard, and it was from Earl Nightingale, and super wise gentleman. Wish I would have had the chance to meet him. But he was saying that a lot of the most valuable things in life that we deem as valuable are the most invaluable. And anything that we can purchase can be replaced. But the most valuable things really are the things that are free in regards to integrity and vulnerability, honesty, love, relationship, consideration, and all of these intrinsic things that we're often not taught, but we're exposed to both negatively and positively. When you think about the most meaningful moments in your life that either, brought tears to your eyes or lit up your heart or strengthened your spirit, what do you think that moment is for you?
Kyle, I try really hard to live in this moment so that I can fully appreciate it. I try to be really intentional with my time and with my purpose. And last night I was laying in my daughter's bed reading a book with my girls and my dog. And it is these moments when I just get to be with my kids. You're right. We can't take it with us. It's like we spend our life working to make money and, doing these things. But in the end, like I was with my parents when they took their last breath at 62 and 64. I know firsthand the value of just being right here, right now. And so throughout this journey, it was, when I started my business, it was my goal to, have a house for my kids and a real Christmas tree, after that first year in business. And so when I sat in front of my Christmas tree, last in December of 2022, just now, like I sat there and I smiled and I was just overwhelmed with pride because I worked so hard. And then, the next thing was my kids, they just, when I started this business, again, I had a little itty bitty condo and they're like, Mom, like we really want a trampoline. And it sounds so like simple, but like, 2 weeks ago, I put together that trampoline in the backyard and the three of us just got in there and we were bouncing and we were listening to music and singing. And it was just like, these are the moments that we live for. And this is also the gift that I want to give to others and why I do, because I literally have been working for the last, year and change to help executives and leaders do the exact same thing, because when they do it, that helps them help others around them to do the same. When we say it is life right now, like that's what it is. It's like this moment.
When you think of these continuous moments that you feel on a daily basis, it takes a level of being present. It takes a level of self-awareness, but also a level of gratitude as well for you to even embody this perspective. What would be your advice for somebody listening in right now to get to a place where they're absolutely able to be present and grateful and intentional and aware, despite the responsibilities of parenting and jobs and health and all of these hats that we as high capacity people often wear.
Mhm. I think for there was a woman I met a few years ago who had just started nursing school, and I was having a conversation with her. And it's something I've heard throughout life, but I try to always be mindful of, and that's you have to fill your cup first. You know, you have to put your air mask on first when you're on the airplane, and it's we have to take care of ourselves and tune into ourselves, because otherwise people are getting a shell of us. And there was this quote that I was actually reading last night as I was laying in bed when my girls fell asleep, and they were both snuggling on me and the dog was asleep on me. And it was, I was like literally looking for a quote to, put on Instagram or something ridiculous like that. And in that moment, it was like, I was just thinking how blessed I was, but I happened across this quote that was like, start counting your blessings and you won't have time to count anything else.
What was the last blessing that you received?
The last blessing I received, I don't know. I think that there's just every conversation that I get to have, I feel like is a blessing, because we all serve and help each other. And so every conversation helps us learn and evolve as individuals. And so truly, I think every conversation that I get to have is a blessing.
That's good. I think oftentimes, I say this so often, what we learn on the journey and through the process is much more rewarding than the aftermath or the result. What you've
Mhm.
learned through the process before you were able to sit with your daughters and have that Christmas tree experience, before you were able to build that trampoline, before you're able to lay in the bed with your dog, was probably much more rewarding for you. What were things that you learned about yourself through the process that helps you get to the result?
When I was about 35, I started going to CrossFit. And, I got into wellness. So I was morbidly obese as a child.
Mhm.
At the end of middle school, I became best friends with Richard Simmons and Billy Blanks. And those were like my best friends because I didn't have any friends because I was overweight. So towards the end of high school, I got into strength training and resistance training. And that's part of where I developed my affinity for strength and all the things that it does for us. So about 15 years later, I found CrossFit and I started to do things that I had never done in my entire life. I lost the feeling in my legs when I was 14 and I had emergency back surgery. And strength training bought me a lot of time and stability, because if you're strong in your muscles, then the joints don't have to do as much work.
Right.
But when I started to do CrossFit, I learned to do handstands and cleans and snatches and like really complex movements without fear. And that, like, when I learned, oh, hey, I can do really hard things. And that, like, when I learned that for myself, I was like, oh, there's nothing I can't do. And so next thing you know, I'm out resurfacing my deck and learning to use power tools at 35. And from that experience, from when I started to learn and enjoy learning how strong I can be, like, that is really, I never would have probably started my journey into entrepreneurship and figuring out who I really was and getting really comfortable with who I was if I hadn't started that.
I think this journey of life, and tackling our fears, hurdling over obstacles, we have so many questions that either we searched for answers for, or even questions that people ask us on the journey. What's one question on your journey that you never get answered or you never get asked, that you wish either more people would ask you so that you had the opportunity to answer?
Mm. I have to think about it. People ask me a lot of questions. I think, I don't know, gosh, it's a hard one because there's no one size fits all to life, you know? And so every individual who I have spoken to enters, like, we each enter that conversation as only as we are in that moment, because literally both of us are going to walk away from that conversation and be different people, because no man steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and it's not the same man. So the questions that I get asked, I think the thing that I have enjoyed the most about the questions that I have been asked is how many people are looking for a way to enhance the quality of their life. And you know, how, yeah, it's different for everybody. I mean, I don't know what questions I want them to ask, because I want them to ask what they need to learn.
You know, it's interesting because I think that a lot of people, and even in my life, oftentimes people look at the title, the image, the brand, rather than taking interest in the person. And I think that often then comes with people's questions are very tactical rather than ethical, or rather than asking the person about certain stories or experiences or even thoughts or feelings that have shaped who that person is in totality. Because I think a lot of times we often wear masks and we hide behind the curtain of our achievements rather than getting the chance to be authentic in all of the spaces that we walk into. So I'd be interested in the experience that has shaped who you truly are as a person, that continues to be the purpose behind who you are as a professional.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and that's where the answer, I mean, we started with, I am love. Like, my purpose, like, I was out with my mentor for dinner over the weekend, and I said, you know, what would you do if you were president for a day, or what would you do to change the world? And, you know, he told me the couple things that he would do. And I mean, he's 80 years old. I mean, he has a ton of life experience. Then he says to me, all right, what would you do if you could change the world? And I was like, I would talk to everybody about physical wellness, mental wellness, communication, and time, and how they're all unmistakably and extraordinarily linked to each other, and how we can help change the world for so many people with some very simple things. And it is my just, oh, I can't tell you how blessed I feel to wake up every single morning. And if I'm not going to be with my children, even they know it is because I am here doing this work that God put me here to do with love. When people come to me, they are vulnerable. When people come to me, they share things with me and they say, gosh, I don't usually open up like this to people. And I think it's because I offer people a completely objective and safe space, because I don't judge anybody for what they do, what they want, where they want to go, because I have done it all. I have seen it all. I have made the mistakes. I have done things that I'm not proud of. We're human. And that is the most exciting and extraordinary thing, because we're all connected. You know, it's like there is this, I don't know if you and I talked about the story of the snowflake, but you know, when I speak to children, when I speak to adults, you know, it's like, is every snowflake the same? And they're like, well, no, every snowflake is different. I say, yes, it is. But is it also the same? Yes, it is. Because what makes up that snowflake is the water that always was, always is, always will be, that is inside of you and inside of me. And when we remember how similar we are and that we're all in this together, then we can do really big, great, beautiful things.
That's powerful. That's so powerful. And I think if we take time to learn the similarities rather than just bringing light to the differences, I think it will create more intentional and better relationships between people, as well as within ourselves as well.
Mhm.
Mention something, and you reference 4 points: physical wellness, mental wellness, communication, and time.
Mhm.
These are like your 4 components, like your mantra in a sense. Talk to me about the importance of these 4 areas and what would be the effect or the impact of someone once they've mastered or created more healthy relationships with these 4 areas.
Oh, I'm so excited I have to stand up because I'm like, oh, I used to. So, having been in physical therapy, when I came back to the corporate world, I was just looking around and I said, oh my gosh, we are not well. It starts with physical wellness. We have individuals who don't know how to manage their time. We have individuals who are struggling mentally and spiritually because they feel isolated and they're not able to connect with the people in their family or the people at work, or the team dynamics are giving them stress or keeping them up at night. Our mental wellness is suffering just tremendously as a society. We are not we're not well. And when we turn to physical wellness, wherever you are on the health spectrum, whatever you can do today, when we start to move more, we start to build muscle so that we are literally getting stronger instead of sliding down backwards weaker. We have control over our destiny. We have ceded control, and this impacts our mental wellness because we feel frustrated, but we don't know what to do about it. When we turn first to physical wellness, to literally how we're sitting, how we're standing, how we're moving, we can literally start to release chemicals and hormones that help us to feel better. We can start to build muscle mass. We can help to build gray matter in our brain. We can help to decongest and get our GI system literally moving again. And this helps us to absorb chemicals and nutrients from our food. All of these things serve our mental wellness. All of these things serve our sleep habits. All of these things help to reduce our risk for not feeling good, for medical expenses, for pain. All of these things we can, grab hold of this. And then once we start to get moving, literally, that helps us to enhance our mental wellness. That helps us to enhance our emotional intelligence, which allows us to better connect with the people around us. It allows us to better understand the people around us so we can hear and know in our like heart and in our gut when people really need something. And I think that when we have these enhanced, this also helps us to enhance our communication skills. And communication and connection are international markers for wellness. We are, as far back as society goes, we are creatures of community. And we have been tremendously socially isolated over these last few years. And that has also impacted our mental wellness. So when we refresh on, hey, here's ways to become physically active. Hey, here's considerations about mental wellness. And here's considerations about mental wellness in the workplace. And here's considerations about how to communicate and understand the people around you, including your children, including the people that you work with or you spend the most amount of time with. When we start to learn and think about those things with fresh perspective, it allows us to feel better as a whole. And then as we're taking this time to learn about ourselves and take care of ourselves, well, now look, here we are literally adding time to our life. And we're thinking more strategically about what does success look like? And then we become more purposeful and intentional with our words and with our actions. And then we are managing our time more efficiently, and we're able to even say no to the things that don't speak to our soul and our goals. And so when we put these 4 things together, it allows us to be better, stronger leaders. And strong leaders show other people how to live and do the same.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The intentionality and clarity as you communicated that is so profound. And I hope that everybody listening to this is, one, taking notes, still here with us, but also ready to make the major leap in your life to be able to be not only an inspired leader, but not only to live longer, but to be more present in your daily activity and in your life so that you can show up as your fully expressed self. The world deserves your best self. Karen, in your opinion, what is the first step that somebody makes? They understand the importance of, physical wellness and mental wellness, communication and time. They understand how to define success. They hear everything that you're communicating. What would you recommend their first step be after they listen to this episode?
Press pause
Mm.
and take just 1 minute and think about what it is that you truly, truly want. Over the last few years, I talked to people that are, I can't make time for exercise and this, I can't fit it in because I have so much else going on. And they say, just 1 minute, just 1 minute to breathe, to think about sitting up, taller in your chair and getting oxygen into your lungs and feeling that oxygen enter your lungs and thinking about it going to your brain, to your body, and to your heart, thinking about how your posture is influencing, your level of independence potentially. And, if you're able to get up and take a walk, go outside and stand in the sunshine if you can, and feel that sun on your face and say, I am here. And figure out what your job is to do and what you want it to look like. I teach 2 nights a week at a local university, and I tell my students every single day, assess what success is. What is success today? What is success a couple months from now? And what is success to you in the big picture? And it may change. You're allowed to change your mind. It's okay. It's when we hold so tight and fiercely to things that what we're really do is we're giving away the ability to just live.
That's good. Karen, I have one final question for you. When you think about this journey of life, we're all striving towards something, like I asked you before in a conversation that we had previously. Like, what are you running towards, or what are you running away from? What would life look like if everything that you communicated in this episode came to fruition for every single person?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked me that, because after our previous conversation, I said, I actually was telling somebody about this the other day. So I feel like I spent the first half of my life running from, who I was, because I didn't really know where I was going. And then when I figured out, when I personally hit stop and took the time to assess who I am and what I want and what success looks like for me and where I'm going and why, here I am standing and running towards and with all these people a healthier tomorrow globally, for you, for me, for our children, for generations to come. Because the stronger we are, the better this whole world is going to be. And the more pure this world is going to be. And, it's just, I can see it. And that is the most exciting thing, over the last, year and change. Like, I have seen what this is doing already in the lives of individuals and in the lives of their teams and in the lives of their families. And Kyle, when I think about doing that and having the ability to do that on a larger scale, it makes me so happy I want to cry. Like, it really does.
I believe that you will accomplish that. And I pray that it's in my lifetime as well, so that I can be here to see it. Because in all of the conversations that we've had and what I've read on your work, you are truly creating something that is cutting edge. and that is innovative, that is transformational, and the value that you've given me and the value that you're continuing to give to the world around you is just transformative. And I just want to give you your flowers and the work that you've been doing.
Thank you.
But we're gonna have some fun. So I have a little twist in the episode. So I believe, you know, as both of us being storytellers and speakers and presenters, I believe that it's important for us to not get so caught up in the life of being an adult and having a childlike imagination. And that keeps us young, but it also keeps us continuing to dream. So on the episode, I like for my guests to tell a story. I'm going to give you three completely different words that you're going to have to use in your story. All you have to have is a beginning, a middle, and an end. It could go in any direction that you want. Just a short story. So the three words that I'm going to give you, completely random as I look around, is light bulb is one of them. We'll do wellness as another one, and pencil. And you have as much time or as much, you know, as little time as you need, but all it has to have is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and she was running along the shores of Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, with her parents, and she was running up and down to everybody on the beach, introducing herself. Hi, my name is Karen. I'm from Eldersburg. Let's be friends. And this little girl just loved to meet people and to hear their stories and to share their stories with them. And she had, you know, not the easiest life, but certainly not the hardest life. And throughout her life, she always, you know, just tried to explore and see the world and get out and live with purpose, because of she knew she wasn't going to have her parents for a long time. She just always knew that. And so she wanted to experience life with her parents and then also as a whole, because she didn't know how long she was going to have either. So she grew up, she went through this, you know, life and made plenty of mistakes along the way. And one day she stumbled upon a mirror. And she had seen mirrors, you know, plenty of times throughout her life, but she never really looked herself in the eye because, you know, she had guilt and shame and, you know, false limiting beliefs that she had carried with her much of her life through different learned experiences in her childhood. And one day when she was 36 or 37, this mirror, you know, she looked in it for the very first time and she had this light bulb moment. She said, "This is who I am. And now I can look myself in the eye and I can stand here with confidence. And I am proud of the woman I am. And I am proud of the work that I am capable of doing. And I haven't asked for enough. I haven't pushed myself enough. I can do more. And I'm going to do big, great things for this world. And it's going to start with wellness."
There it is. There it is. There it is, Karen. That was good. Now, I do have a question following up. Was that story of Karen?
Yes, of course it was. You know,
That's so interesting. And all of my guests, that's so interesting. And all of the guests that we've asked to do the story, no one has ever used their real story. They've come up with something different. And I love how you use the words in a way while still capturing my attention. It was a captivating story. I was drawn in, but still using the words to talk about who you are from the foundational steps to what it's taken you to become this woman that you are today. What was your inspiration in sharing that?
You know, it took me a long time to figure out, like I said, who I was. And, you know, I had a lot of great bosses over the years, but you know, as a people pleaser, again, most of us, I mean, we are all a balance of, you know, people pleaser and, you know, individuals who, you know, do the things they need to do. But what I love about being an entrepreneur and working for myself is it gives me the freedom to stand in my shoes without fear and talk about whatever it is that I need to talk about with my opinion. And you know, I'm not the kind of person, people don't have to believe what I believe, and that's okay. Like, I love people's opinions, but what I want them to know is when I say something, I am a woman of my word, and I say it because this is my experience. This is what I've walked through to stand here and have the beliefs and values that I have today. So because I have this business, it allows me to stand here and talk about things like suicide prevention, high functioning alcoholism, you know, talking about, you know, the things that people think and do in their, as it pertains to their relationships, their marriages, their, you know, physical wellness, their things that are holding them back from meeting their highest potential. And that is what I love. And that's why I want people to know who I am. And I think that that's why, again, people feel safe because they know this is a truly safe and objective space because I'm just real.
I love that. Karen, if you had 30 seconds to share a message with us right now that would expand to every ear in the world, what would be your message?
All we have is now. You know, take care of your physical wellness, your mental wellness. You know, be mindful of there are 4 different communication styles and needs of individuals. Be mindful of how you're spending your time because you're spending it and you won't get it back. Please prioritize your wellness and think about the way that you're moving throughout each day and think about prioritizing time for yourself so that you can have the time to do the things that you love with the people you love, so that you can have the ability to do the things you love with the people you love for as long as possible. And this will create a positive ripple effect in your life. And I want that for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen. This has been phenomenal. I thank you for your presence and just the opportunity to learn and continuing to engage with you. Where can we find you online? How can we support you? You know, what can we do next?
All right. Well, thank you. You can find me online at my website, www.falkler, Falkler, advisory.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a personal page and a professional page. And I do believe I'm going to have a book coming out pretty soon here. So
There it is. There it is. Thank you so much. And one of the biggest things that I've learned and continue to just be reminded of is to live now, be present, to take advantage of the moments right now and stop being so focused on what happened or what's getting ready to happen, but continuing to be in alignment with where you need to be in this moment so that you don't miss the moment or you don't miss the lesson in the process. So thank you, Karen. We are here on another episode of the Writer's Game podcast where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we'll see you guys next